Hello, welcome to Kimu Huapai Law Centre's presentation on work limited licences and demerit point disqualifications. It's very often that the somewhat significant consequence of losing your licence is overlooked at the time when you are driving that bit faster in order to get someplace just a little bit quicker. You cannot receive demerit points through speed camera offences, but rather when you are stopped by a police officer and censored for speed infringements. An accumulation of 100 or more demerit points within any 2-year period will result in a suspension of your driver's licence for 3 months. Ordinarily, you will receive a warning when you have reached 50 demerit points from the Land Transport Authority. This letter warns you that you will be disqualified if you receive a further 50 points in any 2-year period, and the letter is deemed to have been sent to you once it has been posted, even if you never in fact receive it. Once you have been served with a notice that disqualifies you from driving for 3 months, then what have we got? So I'll just carry on. Once you have reached the 100 demerit points, you will then be served with a notice that disqualifies you from driving for 3 months. However, at the end of that 3-month period, all demerit points will be wiped and your licence is returned to you. When you will reach the 100 demerit points, it is always advisable at this time to take the initial steps of speaking to a lawyer in order to minimise any disqualification period that you may have. Once you have been served with the notice, disqualification takes effect immediately. By contacting your lawyer prior to this time, you can initiate the steps needed to be taken to obtain a work licence and arrange for service of the notice at the time that is suitable to you, avoiding the embarrassment of having a process server attend on you at your place of work or at an inconvenient time. A limited licence is for the purpose of resolving economic hardship. It simply enables the holder to get to and from a place of work and maintain their employment obligations throughout the disqualification period. It is restrictive in form and by no means can be seen as a resolution to the problem of the disqualification and licence suspension. An application for a limited licence is made at the court nearest to where you ordinarily reside. For example, if you are living in Henderson area in West Auckland, the application will be filed at the Waitakere District Court. The cost of filing an application in the court is currently $150. The application sets out you are usually restricted to one motor vehicle on certain days and between certain hours, and are subject to a radius which you are able to drive within. As an example, if you are not ordinarily required to drive during the course of your working day, the application for a limited licence will cover you for a set period prior to the commencement of your working day and again at the end of your working day only. The application is subject to the approval of the New Zealand Police. The police have tightened up considerably on the granting of these licences at will and maintain the position that being the holder of a limited licence is a privilege and not an automatic right. Circumstances will be taken into account prior to the approval of the granting of the licence to include the geographical distance that you are required to travel and such other considerations as to whether or not there is public transport that would enable you to continue to maintain your employment obligations without a limited licence. These are all aspects that are fact specific, and it is recommended that you contact your legal professional to discuss your circumstances fully in the first instance. The applicant is also required to swear an affidavit confirming the grounds of their application. This includes such details as your current living arrangements, your employment history, and your reasons for requiring a licence to enable you as a self-employed person or as required by your employer to have a limited licence. The affidavit material confirms these requirements. The documentation is then filed with the court and served on the New Zealand Police Department, and a hearing date is allocated by the court. Most courts require 1 week's notice between the filing of the documentation and the allocated hearing date. You are required ordinarily to attend the court on your hearing date, and the licence is processed accordingly. After you have been granted a limited licence, you are required to carry it with you at all times with a sealed copy of the court order which dictates the terms of your limited licence, and you are required to complete a logbook which details fully the extent of your driving in the event that you are stopped by the police officer during the following period. You are required to produce all of this documentation to that officer for the officer's inspection. One of the restrictions to holding a limited licence is that you are not to drive if there is any other licensed person in the motor vehicle with you. A further restriction is if you are caught exceeding the speed limit at any time whilst driving on a limited licence, the licence also becomes null and void. If you are in a position whereby you are aware that you are likely to have exceeded your demerit points, it is advisable to contact a lawyer to discuss all of these issues and assess your eligibility for a limited licence. The assistance of a lawyer in the facilitation of service of a disqualification papers and the preparation of attendances in respect to a limited licence will significantly reduce your driving downtime. If you find yourself in this predicament, we invite you to call our office for a no-obligation discussion as to your eligibility to obtain this licence and all the costs that are associated with it. Our contact details appear immediately hereafter. Thank you for watching our presentation, and we look forward to being of assistance to you. Goodbye.